Gaggenau cooking appliances are a remarkable combination of exquisite design and precision function. Now, the large 30-inch Gaggenau Convection oven offers you a lot of options for rewarming food, cooking a light meal, doing a little broiling, rotisserie, or even doing a large Thanksgiving turkey roast. I'm going to give you a few tips on how you can do all of that really easily. The control panel placed in the door of your Gaggenau oven is an indication of the genius of the engineering of this product. Now, this is your temperature selection knob. When you want to turn the oven on, simply turn the knob until it reaches the temperature that you wish to cook at. You'll see this little symbol come up. Some people think it looks like a coat hanger. That tells you that the oven is preheating. You can allow about 10 to 12 minutes for the oven to come to temperature. When opening your oven, place your hand in the center of the handle and then it will open really easily. Isn't this a great feature of the oven? Now we have perfect access to the interior of the oven. The oven is equipped with 3 trays: a roasting pan, which is also the tray we use for the rotisserie, a baking pan, and an oven rack. Your Gaggenau oven is actually equipped with 4 heating elements, and that is unique in this industry. There's one element under the steel plate in the base of the oven, the very powerful convection element in the rear of the oven. You have an exposed broiler that runs the full width of the oven, and above the broiler, under another steel plate, there is a 4th heating element. I'm going to show you with the mode selector knob how to use these elements in different combinations to fine-tune your cooking. The mode selection knob actually controls those 4 heating elements in the oven. Now, when you turn the oven on, it will always be in the convection mode, and this is the preferred cooking mode for this oven. In convection, the heat is circulated around the oven very evenly. Convection is a wonderful mode to cook in. It enables you to cook on multiple racks at one time. There's no transference of flavor between different foods, and the large cuts of meat are going to cook very, very quickly in convection, but also there's greater moisture retention of all foods cooked in convection. Now, if you wish to fine-tune the cooking, for example, if you were baking some pies or breads or cakes, you might want to choose the mode with the convection fan plus the heating element at the bottom. This is designed specifically for those foods that require more heat from the bottom. And there's another feature too. If at the end of the cooking time, the outside of your baked items looks done, but they're not quite set in the center, change the mode to the solid heat line at the bottom only. This way it cuts out the convection fan, stops the browning, but gently finishes the food. The roasting pan that comes with the Gaggenau oven is a great tool. Now, you can use this pan for cooking large cuts of meat such as turkey or prime rib. You can cook a couple of chickens on there, but it's also the support for the rotisserie. When using the rotisserie, put the support brackets on either side in place, making sure that the arm goes directly into the receptacle at the back of the oven. When you're ready to load your meat in on the skewer, make sure the meat is firmly put into place using the screws so that it doesn't flip as it's turning. Now, it's recommended when you cook large cuts of meat in convection to actually use a meat probe. To use the probe, just put one end into the receptacle and the other end into the thickest part of the meat. When you're ready to use the rotisserie, use the temperature selector knob to choose the cooking temperature that you want, and then touch right next to the rotisserie symbol on the keypad. This sets the rotisserie motor in action. Once you have inserted the meat probe into the meat to be cooked and to the oven receptacle, you'll see a display come up that will allow you to program the internal temperature to which you wish to cook the meat. Use the plus and minus keys to get the desired internal temperature. Remember, when choosing an internal temperature, Meats always come up by at least 10 degrees in the resting phase. Now remember, with your Gaggenau oven, it's a great feature that you can get so close to the oven. But you can also pull the trays out, and as long as you have them put in the correct way, you'll see there's a little tray stop on each side, and that will hold the tray in position so you can more easily take out heavy trays. Large roasting pans can be used in the oven, but remember, it's always advisable to roast on a rack with a shallow pan. You can also use a rimmed baking sheet for roasting vegetables, meat, or fish, but it's also useful for roasting chickens or larger cuts of meat. Again, the rack we've placed in the pan elevates the meat from the pan and allows the convection to cook the meat evenly. Small rimmed baking sheets and oven casseroles also work beautifully in your Gaggenau oven. Gaggenau ovens have the most powerful broiler in the industry. It does a spectacular job. Now you can broil shrimp and scallops, vegetables. When we do that, we use this rimmed baking sheet, and we can place it fairly close to the broiler. However, when you want to broil a marbled cut of meat, such as steak or lamb chops, now you really need a broil pan that will shield the dripping fat from the heat of the broiler. This way you'll get beautifully broiled food and not burnt food. The large blue steel tray that comes with the oven is a fabulous tool. I use it a lot for roasting vegetables, fish, chicken breasts, turkey breasts, pork tenderloin. You can even put vegetables on one side and meat on the other. And what I love about it is it cleans up so beautifully. When you finish cooking with this tray, just add a little water to the tray, and you'll find after about 10 minutes any caramelization will just lift right off it. Now when you are using the blue trays, you can also use a roasting pan in conjunction with this tray and have side dishes being cooked on this tray. However, if all you're doing is using a roasting or a baking pan on the wire rack, it's advisable to take the other blue trays out of the oven and store them in a drawer. To access the timer on your Gaggenau oven, simply touch right next to the clock symbol. There are 4 timing options. The first one is a minute timer. This will not control the operation of the oven. It will just beep and let you know when that time has elapsed. Use the plus and minus keys to select the time. Pay careful attention to whether it's showing in minutes or hours. Select the time that you want and use the minus key to refine it, and then return to the main display. The second timing option is a stopwatch or a count-up timer. The third option is a timed bake. Obviously, you can set the oven to cook for a certain amount of time and then it will turn itself off. The fourth option is used in conjunction with a timed bake, and this is delay start. So now you can put food in the oven, program the length of time you wish the food to cook, and the time you wish it to stop cooking. The oven will turn on automatically and be done at that time. This mode is only recommended for very safe dishes like baked potatoes or a very cold casserole that you're heating. It's not intended for use with raw meats. To access the tools in your menu here, simply turn the temperature selection knob to one position and touch next to the wrench symbol. Then you can use the arrows to scroll through the choices and make whatever modifications and changes that you want. When you get to a particular section where you want to make changes, you can use the arrows here on the side to switch to the choice you want, which will be outlined slightly brighter than the other box. When you finish making your changes, just return to the tools and turn the oven off. Your Gaggenau oven is actually designed to be used in convection at all times. Convection is a superior mode of cooking because in convection the heat is circulated evenly around the oven. When we cook in convection, foods retain a lot of moisture, there's no transference of flavor, and you can cook on multiple racks at one time. Another bonus is that large cuts of meat cook very quickly in convection. Now, when you want to change the mode, go into your mode selection, you're going to be using combinations of heating elements here. A quick example here, when you have the convection fan plus the bottom heat, this mode was designed specifically to help you with the cooking of breads, pies, and pastries. These are foods that benefit from more heat from the bottom. Actually, it does a wonderful job with roasted potatoes as well. Now, when you're baking, there's always that tricky part at the end when the food looks done but it might not quite be set. You can simply change the mode selector to the solid line. When you see that solid line, Gaggenau chefs are saying, you want to finish your food. This gives you fine-tuning like you've never had before in any oven. Now, for detailed information on how to best use the modes in your Gaggenau oven and for tips on convection cooking, there is a link on the Ritz-Carlton website that will bring you to Larissa's Corner on the Purcell Murray website. The powerful 5-burner gas cooktop from Gaggenau is an amazing tool to cook with. But before you turn on the cooktop, remember to turn on your ventilation, even to slow speed, because you'll really need to establish an airflow. Now, these are powerful tools, but unless you're boiling water, it's always advisable to heat your cooking pans over moderate heat before you start cooking. Pans are made from so many different types of materials. Some pans heat really quickly, others like cast iron will take longer. But once the pan is evenly heated, it's a great cooking tool. So heat the pan over moderate heat, then when you're ready to add the food, then increase the temperature. Now, some of these cooktops are equipped with a thermocouple mechanism. A thermocouple is a safety valve, and it's used quite often in Europe. With a thermocouple, you actually have to open the thermocouple before the gas will flow. For the models with the thermocouple ignition, in order to light the burner, press the knob in and turn to the high flame symbol. Hold for 3 to 4 seconds before releasing. This gives the thermocouple valve enough time to heat up and to remain open. For the non-thermocouple models, simply turn the knob to the high flame symbol and the burner will immediately ignite. To clean the cooktop, the cast iron grates can be washed with warm soapy water in the sink, and the burner cap can be completely disassembled if necessary. Brass does tend to discolor when it is exposed to heat. However, to remove any caramelization or cooking stains, soak the brass burner cap pieces in some acidulated water. Basically, you could take about 2 cups of water and add 1 tablespoon of white vinegar. Once the burner caps have soaked for about 15 minutes, you can rub them clean with a cleaning cloth, and then you can use brass polish to bring them back to a beautiful clean finish. However, remember, the next time that you use the burners, you will see some change in color from the heat. Now, most important, when you put the burner back together, you must make sure that the burner is placed in the correct position. Otherwise, you will not be able to light the burner. Lock the cap into place and put the last little piece in, and then it will ignite properly. If any part of the burner cap assembly is loose, the burner will not light. The burners on your Gaggenau cooktop are really well machined to give you powerful heat. But remember, when cooking with this cooktop, turn on your ventilation before you start cooking and heat your pans over moderate heat. With those 2 simple tips, your cooking will just be a dream.